Now in the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. When will President Trump meet with Democrats to try to bring this shutdown to a close and get federal workers their paychecks back again, Mr. Secretary?
Well, Kristen, I'm going to have to reject the premise of your question. Why does President Trump have to meet with Democrats? Democrats just need to go into the Senate and vote to end the shutdown.
Let's look at the numbers. President Trump has said in the past it's up to the president. 52. He's the president. No, he said that in the past. He said you have to be a leader. The president has to lead. You have to get people into a room. You have to get a deal. When's he going to do that?
Well, he is leading, and there's no deal to do with Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is trading off his polls. What's different than when he passed the clean CR in the spring? It's his polls. You know, the whole country's being held captive to AOC's polls. But let's look at the numbers. It's 52-3. 52 Republicans have voted, I believe it's 11 times, to reopen the government. 3 Democrats have. And right here, right now, I would urge moderate Democratic senators to come across the aisle, reopen the government, because I'll tell you, we're starting to eat into muscle here. This is starting to affect travel. It's starting to affect the economy. And, you know, this is quixotic. I don't know what the purpose is. I'm not sure they do.
So now it's all starting to make sense. This government shutdown ain't got nothing to do with you having health care. But it does have to do with healthcare industries about to lose billions of dollars if these ACA subsidies don't go through. You know, kickbacks. And that's the thing when it comes to the government making moves. If you want to know the reason, all you got to do is follow the money trail. And that's exactly what your boy did. Funny thing about it, there was a few companies that stand to lose the most, and these few companies donate at least 80% to the Democratic Party. Go figure. Now, by now, most of y'all should already know this is a Democrat shutdown, not a Republican. I mean, the Republicans need 60 votes to pass that clean CR. Unfortunately, they don't have 60 Republicans. So that right there lies the problem. And this is why it's very important that we get rid of lobbyist groups out of the government. Because it seems like every time Americans get screwed over, it's because of lobbyist groups standing to lose billions of dollars.
And if you see the incentives, Democrats, there's too many incentives pointing to Democrats operating for their own self-interest and trying to use the American people as a pawn to push those agendas through, right? You saw from the intro, you saw NBC host Kristen Welker try to insinuate or create a premise where it's on the Republicans to get the shutdown resolved, implying as if the shutdown is Republicans' fault. And I like how Scott, I love Bassett here, because Bassett calmly just disarms all that and says, whoa, 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 how's it the Republicans' fault? Republicans don't have 60 Republicans. We have 53. Three Democrats are voting. So that leaves what? 4 more. We need 4, just 4 Democrats to vote, and the CR gets passed. And that's all they need to do. There's no need for extra negotiations to pass the shutdown through. And right now, this pressure building, and especially for the Democratic Party, because I think the Democratic Party is at a crossroads right now, because 40 million Americans, 40 American people are set to lose SNAP benefits, right? And it's causing this whole uproar on certain aspects, certain niches of niche communities in Twitter, X, TikTok. Welfare used by the nativity and legal status of America. Look, Americans take the least from the welfare system, for the most part, I believe. Actually, only about housing, U.S.-headed households take the same. But look at food. Illegals take the most. Look at any welfare. Legals, cash, legal migrants, which is, you know, I feel some type of way about that, but you came here legally, hey, whatever. And this is the priorities. This is why I say it's not a good look for Democrats to sit here and say that they need $1.5 million or $1 billion for health care. That's supposed to go back and subsidize their mess for wanting, like, make it make sense. Look, this is a Democratic Party for you. To show you how this whole stuff, 70% of Democrats back amnesty for illegal migrants. Like, imagine this. So we just got a sliver of this, right? They come, bring these people into their states. Their states suffer massive budget deficits, right? Chicago being a prime example, $900 million deficit in Chicago because of the fact that they were housing illegals, giving them all kinds of welfare and benefits at the Chicagoans' dime, right? And they want amnesty for these people. That's going to rise more costs, more dependency, more usage of the government system. Do you think that's sustainable? And I show you the conflict of interest that the Democrats have to push this stuff, why they're demanding billions of dollars towards health care. Because they're 80% of these companies, these healthcare companies, donate, fund, lobby to the Democratic Party. But this is what Democrats want to care about. This is what liberals care about. And this is something I want to point out about the dichotomy of the liberal. Because I found an interesting video here. And here's the report I saw per Axios. USAID, sorry, that doesn't exist anymore. USAID will not tap emergency food funds for food stamps. 40 million set to lose aid next week per Axios. So Democrats, this is what I'm talking about. There's no daylight for the Democratic Party here. Democrats have no leverage here because, end of the day, this is kind of what libertarians or Republicans wanted from the government. Hey, no free handouts. Hey, government, you're creating an incentive structure where you're incentivizing people to be lazy, right? Cruising, not being self-sufficient, being dependent on the government, which is slowly taking up all the resources out of the government. You're playing into the Republicans' ideal situation of how the government should run. What do you think is like, if you're a logical person, let's say a reasonable liberal was watching this video, what is the natural conclusion you will come to? Vote for the CR Democrats to stop Donald Trump from being able to do this. Because here's the long-term effect. And here's a warning I'll give to all the far leftists and the liberals out there. And a lot of you conservatives agree with this kind of me playing it out. Here's a story. 2 weeks from now, government is still shut down. The USAID does not replenish the food stamps. 40 million people lose their food stamps. What happened to those 40 million people? They're gonna find some hard times, whatever, but that creates an incentive for them to find a way to sustain themselves. And not just sitting here waiting to what? Slowly die and suffer? No. And guess what happens? If another month passes and the government is still shut down, those 40 million people might have found a way to adapt without the food stamps, essentially eliminating the need for it in the first place. But Democrats, they can't think logically right now because of what Scott Bassett just pointed out, that this action was done according to polls for AOC. What Scott Bassett is implying there, that Chuck Schumer is doing this for personal political reasons because his party, his supporters in New York think that he's not opposing Donald Trump strong enough. So he's doing this as a way, as a play to appear like he's opposing Donald Trump, appear like he's fighting for these people. So that way he can save his own political A. And the funny part about it is, I did a video earlier. Polls showed that people still see the Democrats as weak. Make it make sense. But this is the problem with the left. And honestly, it is my mission to get people to realize the political incentives that the Democratic Party has. And I want to play a clip for you. An interesting clip I saw. This woman here is going to highlight to you how Democrats tend to think or tend to care about things that's outside their immediate locus of control.
I'm sure you've all seen that graph of what leftists care about versus what conservatives care about, and it's like a scale of people closest to you and people farthest away from you. Like conservatives, when they're polled, tend to care about their family first, then their friends, then their community, then their state, then their country, then the world. And liberals, it's the opposite. They tend to care more about world issues and then strangers and then their community and so on. This is further proof that they're performative. They care about things going on around the world more than they care about their own communities, because fixing your own community is a lot harder than making a post on social media that says Free Palestine. Fixing the issues within your own family is a lot harder than just posting a black square on Instagram. Condemning people for not caring about a war thousands of miles away and acting morally superior and acting like you are the good guy because of it takes maybe 30 seconds out of your day. But dealing with your brokenness inside, or dealing with your broken family, or dealing with your failing friendships, or dealing with your community that's ridden with crime is so much more difficult. They pick the easy way out. They can just virtue signal on TikTok and on Instagram, and they get to feel morally superior when they have disagreements with people about how to fix these larger issues. And then because they do those things, it makes them feel like a good person, and therefore they don't have to fix anything within themselves or within their families or friendships. Because anyone who does anything against them is obviously a bad guy, because they've convinced themselves they're the good guys.
And it makes sense why, Democrats, they continue voting for Democrat, right? It's because Democrats, they give lip service to this belief that, we're doing so much. We care about climate change. We care about globalism and the world's affairs, and all these poor illegals, they need a better place to sustain and live at. And this is how their countries and their states and their cities end up being destroyed, because crime-ridden areas, rat-infested cities, right? This is synonymous with blue cities like New York, San Francisco, right? And this is how Democrats and their voters can consider someone like Gavin Newsom, who, from a local perspective, expanding outwards has created devastating results. How can you vote for a guy that stewardship over 2 wildfires, 2 of the worst wildfires in California history under his watch? One, when he was a lieutenant governor of California, and currently, the beginning of the year, he was dealing with the Palisade fire or whatever. Make it make sense. But Democrats will still vote for him because they don't care what happens in their community. They don't care if crime is out of control and black people are disproportionately killed or victims of violent crime. They don't care. They don't care if 27 out of 30 blue cities have the highest crime rate in the country. They don't care about all that. What you doing about the world, though? What you doing about climate change? What you doing about homelessness that you never actually fix, actually increase under your watch, right? Oh, we're going to tax you to death because we need to help the poor. But you don't see the outcomes. Do you actually help the poor? And this is what many people are calling out about the Democratic Party, that the Democratic Party know the sentiments of their voters, and this is why they get away with stuff like this. And the fact that these leftists, and this is why I say that leftist bias, leftism is ruining journalism, because journalism is overwhelmingly dominated by left-wing ideology, left-wingers, left-wing voters, Democrat voters. Only 3% of journalists represented in the profession are Republicans. That's a major industry bias. And that's how you get questions where a journalist is asking a Republican official, a Trump official, what he has to do to get the shutdown open. What? Who's closing it? Who's voting no against the CR? Everything's within Democrats' control. And also everything's within Democrats' cause. Democrats caused this because they wanted more on the CR. The CR wasn't enough for them because their leadership is dominated by deep blue representatives like Hakeem Jeffries, New York, and Chuck Schumer, New York. A heavily blue city, blue state is dominating the national politics for the Democratic Party because they're beholden to a far left energy that's rising in their party, and they don't know how to react to it. They don't know how to deal with it. And this is why I called out about Hakeem Jeffries. If you've been following my videos for a while, you can leave it in the comment section. Yeah, Kenny, you've been pretty consistent about your criticisms of Hakeem Jeffries. He is not the guy.
I want to ask you about something you said. You said Democrats, there are no election deniers on our side of the aisle. You said that back in January. But recently, you've been using the term rigged elections in reference to the upcoming midterms. Democrats were appalled when President Trump used language like that. How do you justify using that now? Doesn't that undermine faith for voters you need to show up?
No, I've been using that term in the context of Donald Trump's unprecedented effort to gerrymander congressional maps in a partisan fashion all across the country in order to rig the midterm elections and deny the ability of the American people to actually decide who should be in the majority as it relates to the House of Representatives.
You know, Democrats are also going through gerrymandering and redistricting.
No. Well, Democrats are going to push back aggressively to make sure that we have fair maps across the country, not partisan gerrymandering, which Republicans have initiated in state after state after state.
As you acknowledged, this all started because of redistricting in Texas, and this was Trump pushing Republican-controlled states to throw out their current congressional maps so as to cook the books, so that it is less likely for Democrats to retake control of the House during the next year midterms. I mean, is it fair to argue that do you believe that the Republican Party is starting this?
No, Jake. There has been gerrymandering going on for 200 years. There is such extreme gerrymandering going on that in a state like Massachusetts, that has like 40% of the people voting for Trump, they have 0 representatives. The Republican Party has 0 representatives sent to the House. Think about that. In New Mexico, if 45% of the people voted for Trump and voted Republican, and 0 is sent to the House, 0 representatives from the Republican Party. So there's gerrymandering, crazy gerrymandering going on all over the country, and we wanted to try to stop it in California, and we did stop it in California, and we went around the country. So I think this whole thing about finger pointing and say they did it, so therefore we should doing it, that's not really the way to go. The one party should outperform the other party. It should be performance. And when it comes to midterm elections, as you know, always the party that is not in the White House usually wins by 20, 25, 30 seats. So what does 5 seats matter in the first place in Texas? It is crazy. Yeah. We should outperform them. That is where the action is.
Boom. Like, in an ideal situation, yes. The parties should outperform each other. Hey, who delivers the best results, not who can paint the better story. And this is what the Democrats are trying to play right now. They're trying to paint, oh, this is our story. Oh, we're going to gerrymander because we're reacting to what Texas is doing. Okay, but Texas, what happened before then? Oh, Massachusetts. Oh, Illinois. Oh, no gerrymandering there. One of the worst gerrymander states in the union, Illinois. Nothing to say there, Democrats. And that's before Texas did anything they did. So you can make the argument Texas did that in reaction to decades of Democrats gerrymandering. And the Democrats gerrymander so bad. And this is why I say, like, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer's, they're not the leadership the Democrats need right now. If you want to win, and that's going to be a productive win for America. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're not it. I'm sorry. Chuck Schumer is old and tired, can't fight back this extreme, far left, progressive energy that's taking over, that's sweeping the Democratic Party. Hakeem Jeffries is not the guy for the job. He just got the job because of maybe seniority. I don't know how it works in Democratic politicians, right? They saw a half, I don't know his ethnicity, I don't care, but he calls himself a Black American. They saw that and said, we want to make history with this guy. And he shows it every day. I see him talk on the interview. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. I'm like, yo, you not the guy, my guy. You bootleg Obama. That's how I feel, bro. The Black Democrats can get mad at me in the comment section. I don't give a damn. I said what I said. Bootleg Obama ain't gonna take y'all to the victory like you think he is. And it just goes to show he can't even answer the question. Hey, look, blatantly hypocritical saying the election was rigged when you just finished lambasting Republicans for 5+ years claiming that. Now you're saying it because it's convenient for you to say it. Because now you know if you play the gerrymandering game to its conclusion, that Republicans win that game. If Republicans play the same way you're playing right now, Republicans win. If Republicans don't play the same way you're playing right now, Republicans lose. So what political incentives does Republicans have not to gerrymander when you're gerrymandering? Make it make sense, Democrats. And this is what's catch them, the hypocrisy. Always get them every single time. You let a Democrat talk long enough, they'll talk themselves against themselves. You could play clips of Hakeem Jeffries in 2020 criticizing commentary like what he's trying to do right now, casting doubt on the election. Look at what they're doing because they're not getting their way. On poor baby. And now they're talking heads, right? An industry like journalism dominated by left-wing bias is trying to ask a Trump minister like, hey, what you guys doing about the shutdown? How is it our fault? How is the Republicans' fault? Democrats are the ones using your people as leverage. But hey, I digress. Let's get into the interview because this is going to be an interesting one. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Let's get into it.
And today is day 26. I know you have been over there, but there has been a government shutdown here. People are suffering. Federal employees are starting to go to food banks. Any light at the end of the tunnel on that? Should the president be meeting with Democrats again?
And you got to understand how absurd that question is, too, is that it gives this idea that there's pressure on Trump to end this. No. Trump is like, from a policies perspective. If it was me, if I was president in his situation and I had a situation like this, my hand is to do nothing. I'll wait because I'm allowed to do. Hey, on principle, man don't work, man don't eat. That's how I grew up. That's how I was raised. Oh, my bad. I'm getting a little too animated, guys. Let me calm down a little bit. That's how I was raised. So I'm like, hey, if I have this standard for myself, me, what makes you think I'm gonna treat you better than I treat myself? No, it makes no logical sense. So yeah, y'all all better find a job. Y'all all better be self-sufficient, because that's less burden on everyone else. If you can't pick up your own burden of sustaining yourself, that burden, it falls on society. It falls on someone else. Someone else has to pick up the tab for you. And that's why a lot of people on these food stamps that treat it like an entitlement don't understand. That since they don't firstly see it or feel the cost, they think they're owed that. No, you're not. That's a cost on general society as a whole. And this is why premiums went up for healthcare. Because of Medicare. Medicare says, hey, we're only going to pay this amount for your medical procedure for our Medicare person. And then the healthcare companies, they lose money on that, treating Medicare people. This is why, in Canada, when you got free healthcare over there, you get worse service than people who got private insurance. Because they make the people who have private insurance, right? People who are self-sustaining pay more. So people who are at the bottom and the government is using essentially like pawns and dependencies can continue getting the resources for free. What incentives are you're incentivizing there? What kind of positive reinforcement? It's a psychology term. All my psychologists out there, you know what I'm talking about. Positive reinforcement. What that means? You give a positive result for actions and decisions that you want more of. You want more people on Medicare then? Because if I had to pick, should I pay for my own private insurance where the costs are continuously rising, or should I pay this Medicare where I pay zero, society pays for me, and I get the thing cheaper than the person who got private insurance? What incentives are you putting out there? And this is the problem that conservatives have with entitlement programs as a whole. And one of the middle grounds I see here is that either there should be a time limit when you're on these programs, or the time or the conditions or the circumstances or the constraints have to be super tight, where you eliminate the possibility of bad actors using and abusing the system. That's one of the middle grounds I think that exist between the conservative and the liberal. But I digress. That's just me thinking in an idealistic world. Let's get back into the video.
Well, what good does it do, Martha? They've dug in. The American people are hostage to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries' poll numbers, because what's changed between now and the last time there was a clean continuing resolution is Chuck Schumer has tanked in the polls. Both of the two guys from Brooklyn, like I call them, are worried about being primaried from the left. 52.
America, I know y'all see this. I know, come on. I know y'all see this. Look, I don't know how you guys see my commentary, but my commentary, I try to paint it for like as if I'm advocating to America, right? America's the judge. I'm the lawyer, right? And I'm like, hey, look, my defendant here, who I want to win political power, here's why he should win. Here's how his policies help the American people. Here's why their policies are not in the best interest of the American people. Yes, you got to sacrifice, but there's a trade-off with anything. There's no perfect solutions. There's only trade-offs. Here's our trade-offs. Here's their trade-offs. Here's why we think their trade-off is bad for you, America. Here's why you should go with my guy or my party. That's how I see myself. Let me know if you see that accurately, because it makes zero sense. Hey, this guy is doing this policy because right now his supporters, they don't like what he's doing. So now he's fronting at your expense, America, so he can look good in front of his supporters. So he can look good in front of 33% of Americans, because 33% of Americans are Democrats, 33% of Americans are Republicans, and I think about 45% of Americans are independents. So all the independents right now in the middle trying to weigh who they should go with. I'm telling you, look what they're doing. They're literally sacrificing you, using you guys as hostage so they can look good in front of their voters and then try to pretend, oh, yeah, this is the Republican shutdown. Make it make sense. They don't want to take no blame, no accountability. You think these people will be productive to actually solving problems that's facing America right now? I'm just saying.
Republican senators have voted 11 times to reopen the government. 3 brave, moderate Democrats have come across the aisle. So, I call on moderate Democratic senators to end this craziness. You'll be heroes. Because, Martha, what I can tell you is that we managed to find the money in the middle of October to pay our brave service members, and I think we'll be able to do it on November 1st. But we're going to be out of money on November 15th, and for a military not to get paid is a disgrace. The other thing that's happening is this is starting to eat into the economy, starting to slow the economy, and we're also starting to see there's a problem with air traffic control, so it's starting to slow down our nation's travel.
But Secretary Bessent, I should add that the president's party, your party, controls the White House and both chambers of Congress. You don't think you bear any responsibility for this?
Margaret, what can we do? What can we do for this desperate act that we can?
Democrats politically launched a kamikaze attack. That's pretty much what they did. That's pretty much what they did. Democrats launched a kamikaze attack and is just trying to, they're looking for the Republicans to bail them out of this. Honestly. And sorry, America, but we can't reward that. We can't give an incentive to the Democratic Party if they stab their feet enough, if they complain enough, if they're just unreasonable enough, that we'll just give in. And this is what the Democrats are banking on, that they'd be so unreasonable that the Republicans, as the reasonable party, in my estimation, will cave. That's what they're hoping for. I'm just saying, I don't know how, if you look at, hey, I want a better path forward for America, and you look at the Democratic Party. To me, the Democratic Party gives nothing but lip service, while the Republicans give more practical approaches to some of the solutions that we have. It may not be ideal. It may not be what sounds good and emotional, right? But it's practical. It's real. Hey, we complain about the deficit. Okay, we got to make cuts. You complain about the cuts. Come on. We make more stringent entitlements. Hey, you have to fit these criteria to get these benefits. People complain about it because now it shrinks the tent. But of course, you want less people on these systems.
Them to change their minds, because I can tell you the 1.5 trillion in spending that they're calling for, that's not on the table. We inherited a mess. We inherited the worst budget deficit to GDP when we weren't in a recession and we weren't at war. It was 6.4, 6.5%. We've managed to bring that down to 5.9%, and we're not going to let them be irresponsible with the budget again.
And then blame Republicans when it caused inflation. And that's what the Democrats want. They want to eat their cake and eat it too. You want to be the minority, but act like you're the majority. And then when pressure comes, you want to say, oh, we're not the majority, we're the minority, but you're in the way. You're stopping this. Make it make sense. America, I'm telling you, America, if you want Democrats to get a wake-up call, you have to make them lose until they start making sense again. Until they put people who talk more like John Fetterman and less like Jasmine Crockett. I'm just saying. Don't get mad at me, Black Democrats. Y'all don't want losing. Y'all don't want losing supporters from every so-called demographic that was supposed to be on your side now, right? Your antics of calling people coons, sellouts, model minorities, they ain't working no more. No one cares no more because they saw the results you gave them. Would you care about a person who scammed you out of a vote, scammed you out of money, if they called you names because you're no longer falling for the scam? That's how a Black conservative feels about a Black Democrat calling him a coon, Uncle Tom sellout. I'm speaking for myself, but let me know if you feel this way in the comment section, my fellow Black conservatives and my fellow minority conservatives. If you feel the same way I feel, because the scam ain't scamming no more, bro. I'm being tired right now. I'm tired. I think Democrats need a good smacking, like three more elections. They just need to lose 3 more elections, and I think that it'll the wheels will start turning in their head. Like, hey, maybe we should go back to the middle. Yeah. Do that, please. Not embracing Nazi communists after you just finish crying about any action that semblance or that Nazis ever did in history. Be vegetarian, be an artist, like coffee, be an atheist. No, that's all Nazis. Oh, the Republicans are Nazis because there's Republicans that do all those things, right? But a guy who put a tattoo similar to them, you embrace them. You're defending him. You're downplaying his actions. But not Elon Musk doing my hearts go out to you, but you call it. Democrats don't make sense. That's why they lose. That's why they're losing favorability. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. Do you like what I had to say? Do you disagree with what I had to say? I'd like to hear it all in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.